Can you hear me, sister?
Yes.
Blessings. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Murdoch. We're back for yet another episode of Make It Make Sense Mondays. Extremely excited for today's conversation. We got an absolutely sensational, solid sister who's currently down south, but is from up north. I really am excited for today's conversation. Quick recap, like we always do. Again, it's your boy Murdoch, purpose-driven, action-oriented servant leader and proud product of Indianapolis, Indiana. And y'all, I'm the founder of an incredible organization called the Side Hustle Economy Company. And our mission is to empower Black side hustlers to achieve their entrepreneurial dreams through the 3 E's, all right? Exposure, education, and equipment. And I'm not going to talk that talk too long today, because y'all didn't come on here to hear me, come here to hear her. However, to start our work, we got to expose. And that's why Make It Make Sense Monday exists. Each and every Monday, each and every magnificent Monday, we are bringing on a Black attorney, a Black marketer, a Black finance practitioner, or a Black mental health advocate to help you make it make sense. And we're not going to dive too deep into competency, more so about story, because as y'all know, I know, and if I know, y'all know, that Black stories are the assets that break generational curses and build generational wealth. It's when we leverage the power in our stories that we can make it make sense, and that sensational impact all across the senses. And this sister here today is the embodiment of that same exact principle. Without further ado, my sister, can you please introduce yourself for the people, and then tell us when, tell us how, and tell us why you started your firm.
Okay, so my name is Jelicia Walker. I'm originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, but I'm currently in Houston, Texas. So yeah, like you said, the business that I'm in, I own my own law firm. I've been having my own law firm for about 2 months now. I was working, I guess you would say, contract positions with other attorneys throughout the year until I was sworn in. And once I was officially sworn in, I started my own firm. How I started my firm, well, I've been working in the legal field since about 2012 when I was a freshman in college. So basically working under attorneys or other legal departments and learning the background of how to operate and run a law firm. So that's pretty much how I learned the details of everything that I needed to know. And then I worked with a lot of solo practitioners too. So that helped me a lot. And that's pretty much how I got started. And why I started my own firm, I've always wanted to work for myself. My stepdad is an entrepreneur, so I grew up with the entrepreneur, watching him work for himself. I really don't like working for people. I don't like people telling me what to do all day. So I just knew it was something that I wanted to do prior to even going to law school. And I just feel like we in like a new era, new time, and what a professional looks like has, to me, always seemed to push away Black culture in the professional field. So I wanted to not have to assimilate to make money at a firm and just be myself and run my own business.
You gave us a lot to work with there. So one, definitely appreciate you for so succinctly asking or answering all 3 of those questions. Definitely appreciate you. And I love what you said there at the end. I kind of want to work backwards. Right. So one, this idea of not wanting to assimilate, and that for so long, what professionalism looked like intentionally excluded someone who was Black and in tune with the culture. Can you talk about why you think that's problematic? Like why is it problematic that us being ourselves is in constant clash with what it means to be professional?
So why are you saying, like, why is it a problem?
Yeah, like why do you, because some people don't think it's an issue. Like some people think that we should walk into rooms and assimilate. You know what I'm saying? We should talk a certain kind of, we should code switch. People think code switching is cool. And that what I hear you saying is that, like, no, you want to show up unapologetically as yourself. Can you talk about why that's important and why the opposite would have been bad?
Well, I think it's important because one, I just think that can take a toll on a person's mental health. Like, I'm not saying no other race at all has to assimilate, but for the main part, it's Black people always, from the way that we talk, the way that we wear our hair, how long we like our nails, the colors of our hair, anything like that. What we like in our culture is just always pushed out and seen as negative in a professional setting. And that's just super problematic to me, because if you have to pretend to be someone else all day and you can't be yourself, it's like you're not even properly functioning throughout the day. So you can't be yourself for 8 to 10 hours out of a day just to make a check. then that's an issue to me. And there's other ways for money to be made when you can cut the middleman out and figure out another route. And I think that's very important. And that's what we are learning now in this generation. I see a lot of Black entrepreneurs or just Black people owning their businesses. And to me, it comes down to comfortability too. Like, that's just uncomfortable to me as a person to have to pretend to be someone or talk a way that I don't talk all day. And it's just like kind of irritating to me too. So I think it's super problematic.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real. No, I believe that assimilation, similar to you, I think that assimilation is the assassination of our character and integrity. So, like in the process of you becoming more comfortable with somebody else, you lose what makes you special, right? And you end up becoming an expensive copy of somebody else. And so many people live and die just to become an expensive copy of somebody else. Can you kind of talk about how you develop that? Because, like I said, I feel like, I mean, you mentioned it. Like from a young age, we're taught to become expensive copies of somebody else. We're taught to make other people comfortable. Like, how did you get to a place in space mentally, and then from a career perspective, to say, you know what, no, I'm going to be unapologetically me?
So I would say, while I was an undergrad at IU, one of my minors was African diaspora studies. And I learned so much just about Black people all around the world. And I just really got tuned in. I mean, I've always been tuned in with being Black. My mom was a history teacher. So I learned a lot about us, but this was like, next level for me to educate myself. So much stuff that I never even heard of, or, if nobody studies or has that as a minor or a major, there's a bunch of information that a lot of other Black people don't know right now. So that just made me like super aware of myself as a Black person and just Black people in general. So I got super tuned into that at first. And then, like I said, I always wanted my own law firm, and I was having issues with like interviews. So I'm really a smart person. I feel like I can adapt in any environment, do any job pretty much at any law firm. But in the interviews, it's like, if you're not, like I said, assimilating or looking a certain way that they want you to look, then you're not going to get the job. And that's what I was having an issue with. And I was only interviewing for positions for internships in the summertime or during school, because I knew I didn't want to work anywhere after school. But then while I was in school, I had friends who were just like, they were a little different from me, and they did want to go work in like big law firms and stuff. So they tried to influence me to do those things like, oh, just do this. You got to change this about yourself. They don't like when you do this. They don't like when you do that, blah, blah, blah. And it just started becoming irritating to me, because it's like, okay, basically you want me to wipe away my whole identity just to get paid a paycheck. And I just did not want to do that. So that's when I was just like, now when I wasn't getting jobs after interviewing, I just felt like that was a sign to me to stick to the route that you knew that you wanted to do before you even came to law school. You want to have your own firm. You wanted it straight out of school. It's going to be harder to build up clientele. You probably won't make that big profit in the beginning, but it's possible, because I went to a HBCU law school, and I see a bunch of attorneys from my school who are doing very well right now. They're self-made millionaires, and they have their own law firms. So I knew it was possible, and I was like, okay, this is the route I need to take. And since I started, I know this is exactly what I want to do.
Oh, that's a blessing. That's what you just said in the last one. That's a blessing. So let's talk about this, right? So you said that 2012 is when you graduated law school or started law school?
No, 2012 is when I started working in the legal field. 2016 is when I graduated undergrad, and I just graduated law school December 2019.
So one, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. See, but the difficulty with that is you graduated right before COVID.
Yeah.
So can we just talk about how you went from December 2019, graduating from Thurgood Marshall Law School? That in Chicago?
No, it's in Houston.
Yeah, Houston. Yeah. So how do you go from graduating from law school down south, December 2019, to now you're 2 months into solo practice, and this is in the midst of COVID? So can you kind of walk us through your journey from that moment to now? Because I'm sure there's a lot going on between them 2 days.
Yeah, it's been super hectic, because so I graduated a semester early.
Oh,
but
look at her. Your boy took an extra year. She graduated a semester early. I'm sick. That's dope. That's dope though, for real. That's dope.
But I graduated a semester early because, I mean, you probably know this, to pay for the bar is super expensive. To pay for the bar prep program is super expensive. So I worked 2 jobs that second semester where I would have technically been in school, and I was waiting until May to actually walk with my class. But when COVID hit in March, when everybody was dismissed from school, we didn't have a graduation. So, and then I ended up losing one of my jobs in COVID. So it's like, I should have just walked in December, that's what I was thinking. But so fast forward, I was a Barbary rep. So that helped me. I didn't have to pay for bar prep. So that came in super
Amen and amen. Amen.
Yeah, because Barbary is like what, $2,000, $2,500 or something like that. 2,500 to pay for the prep program, and the average law student cannot afford that. And if you don't have parents who are financially established, you probably won't be able to get that good bar prep program. But the good thing about my school, so they paid for half of our bar prep, and then if you pass the bar on the first time, they'll reimburse you the other half that you paid. So they looked out for us, and they also paid for adaptive bar. So that saved us a lot. And then when bar prep started, I was gonna take the July bar. I took the New York bar actually, but I was gonna take the July bar.
Hold on. Because you saying a lot. It ain't no language transfer. So number one, because I know people watching, they don't know what Barbary is. They don't know about adaptive bar. They definitely don't know about no New York bar. So real quick, let me talk my talk for you real quick. All right, first of all, Shorty graduated, Attorney Walker graduated, right? I turned on my language, so let me, Attorney Walker graduated from law school, Juris Doctor, okay? 2.5 years, is that correct? 2.5 years? Yes, so that's number one. Also said she was working multiple jobs. Law school in and of itself is like 4 jobs, okay? So that's another talk. Number three, this is crucial. Shorty did not take the Kim Kardashian bar. She did not take the Kim Kardashian bar. She went to the New York, not the Indianapolis, not the Indiana, not the New York. You feel me? If you go to the Instagram bio, you see 3 states in that bio too. She's not playing with y'all. Okay, that's top tier. That's creme de la creme. You feel me? And 3, Barbary is a bar prep course. So you got somebody like myself who's been in law school for entirely too long. They're gonna graduate, and guess what? I'm fed up. I am likely not going to bar. You ain't gonna take my degree, but you're not gonna see boys in no courtroom nowhere. So after you finish your 3 or 4 years, I'm in a 4-year program, I'm in the evening program, one of the few in the country. Typically there's 3 years, and then you got to take somewhere between 1 and 3 months, depending upon what your situation is, to prepare for something called the bar exam. It actually makes you a licensed attorney to be able to practice in a particular jurisdiction. Now, we're not going to get deep into UBE versus, we're not going to get into all that, but the point is she was talking about Barbary. So while she was a student, she was helping people get prepared for the bar, and because of that investment she made into herself, it helped to subsidize or offset the cost of preparing to take the bar when it came time. So we were using a lot of terms of art in there. And again, none of y'all gonna be law students, because I wouldn't advise it. Pursue your dreams. Right, pursue your dreams. But the point is, this sister is top tier, creme de la creme, and she's unapologetically Black in the process. So for anybody that's looking or listening or watching, and it's like, I don't know if becoming a lawyer or a doctor or a dentist or any kind of a professional is for me because I have to compromise myself. You're looking at a sister who's operating at the highest level and didn't compromise herself in the process. So not to cut you off, I just wanted to make sure that we were there. So you just talked about taking a New York bar. That's where you just kind of just left off.
Okay, yeah. So I started bar prep just a little bit early. Barbary offers like a little early bar prep program just to, start getting back into that study mode, because 3L year, I really wasn't doing nothing too serious. So we weren't really in like study mode as hard as 1L or 2L year. So then, I was set to take it in July, and I think in maybe May or June, it was pushed back to September. So then I'm like, oh my God, like, I just want to get this exam over with because this is my money, basically. Like, this is how I'm going to make money. And it just was taking so long. So I stopped studying for a while. And then when I got back to studying, maybe like mid-July or August, they pushed the bar back again to October. So then I'm like, okay, are we taking the exam or not? And with the New York bar, my purpose for taking that exam is because it's uniform. So you can transfer it to 36 states. But since we were in COVID, they cut the exam in half since we were taking it at home. And New York entered into like reciprocity agreements with certain states. So I don't get to transfer to 36 states. I only got to transfer to like maybe 15 states or something. And so I just transferred it all ahead of time, like go ahead, transfer. But the thing was, I went to school in Texas, and with character and fitness, they told all of us, do your character and fitness, your 1L, your blah, blah. I didn't do it because I'm like, I'm not from here. If I take the Texas bar, I will only be licensed in Texas. Texas just became uniform after I took the bar. So I knew I wasn't going to take it here. I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I was like, I don't know if I'm going to take it in Indiana. I don't know if I'm going to move back home. So I never did character and fitness until with New York. Once I took the bar, you have to wait until you are certified. They give you, like, they certify you. You have to take the New York bar exam, the MPRE, and you have to take the New York law exam. So once you take all three of those and you get certified, they assign you to a court, and that's where you send your character and fitness documents.
Goodness gracious.
So I would have never even known. I couldn't do character and fitness ahead of time anyway because I wasn't certified to my court yet. So I took the bar in October. I got results in December. I sent all of my forms in earlier this year, and I just got sworn in August. So it's been a super slow process. Like super
slow. Goodness gracious.
Super slow.
Goodness gracious.
So that's my word of advice to anybody that's gonna take the bar. Figure out where you're gonna take it at, because that character and fitness can slow a lot of things up. Like, I even transferred my scores to Texas, and I've been going back and forth with the Board of Law Examiners here since like February or March, and I'm still not sworn in here. And I think COVID got COVID playing a big part too, because one, none of those people are in the office. You can't talk to none of them on the phone either. You can only talk to them through messages through a portal. And it's just so slow. Like, it's so slow, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm still not sworn in here yet. And I know Indiana just became uniform too, but again, I can't transfer my scores there because it wasn't a part of the reciprocity agreement with New York. So either I wait 5 years to get licensed there, or I take the bar again and I'm never taking the bar again. So it's gonna be the 5 years for me.
Y'all gonna have to wait for her. Y'all definitely gonna have to wait for her. So
but I can do all transactional work there. Just I can't go to court. So
right. Yeah. So first of all, thank you for kind of rehashing that. I'm sure it's partially traumatizing for you to even recant that experience because of how much you go through. Another term of art. What is character and fitness? Obviously, we know what it is, but can you break down just real quick for the people what is character and fitness?
Yeah, so that's so you have the Board of Law Examiners. Those are the people who allow you to take the bar and to become licensed. So they pretty much review your whole background, any job you've ever worked, any address you've ever lived at. You need recommendation letters from people, any legal internships you've done. Like, they want all of that information, and they sit for months and go through and review everything thoroughly. They call every job you ever worked and get it confirmed that you worked there. If you have any criminal history, you have to report that to them. If you don't, they'll find it anyway. And I mean, you won't be in trouble for not telling them, because it's some things you probably wouldn't even think is a big deal, like a ticket or something. And they want to know all of that, depending on what state you're in. They want to know every little thing. Anytime you ever come in contact with police, they want to know. Or any courts, anything. If you have any major debt, if you've ever been sued or sued somebody, if you've been in the Army, anything they literally want to know your whole background. You have to get fingerprints sent in. What else did I have to do? I think that was pretty much it, just filling out all the documentation. Some of it is online. For me specifically, New York, mine was I had to write it out on paper. And then you have to send forms to all of your jobs and have them certify it and send it back to the people. So if a job is taking forever, or you can't get in contact with that job, or say, I did an internship and that law firm is no longer even open because both of those attorneys are judges now. It was little things like that that's just been taking so long. Or I originally applied, they weren't letting students out of the state of New York apply for the New York bar when COVID first hit. So I applied for the DC bar. And then when they opened it back up to us, I canceled the DC bar. So I never sat for the DC bar or anything. And they're telling me right now, we're waiting on Washington, DC to confirm your character and fitness. And I'm like, I've never done anything with them. I just applied for the bar there and canceled it. So it's just so slow, and it's so frustrating, but you just really have to be patient.
So yeah, and we're gonna dive deep into some of the stuff you're talking about, because even if she's using terms of art that may not apply to your industry, to the people that's watching, there's some skill sets, some characteristics that the sister is practicing that can apply to any side hustle, any main hustle, any hustle, life pursuit that you might be going through. So we'll tap on that a little bit later. I want to kind of pivot the conversation to asking you a question about your industry generally, right? So for anybody that's watching, right, I'm trying to grow my business. I'm trying to get better at doing what I do. I'm trying to get my ducks in a row, cross my T's and dot my I's. What are 2 or 3 things I have got to keep in mind when looking for a lawyer? Because I know there's a lot of people out here who just like, if I gotta do something with a lawyer, I ain't finna do it. Or I'll do it myself and jeopardize getting hurt on the back end. Because I just want to deal with them. I don't deal with no attorneys. So what's 2 or 3 things Black folks should keep in mind when trying to work with a lawyer, or looking for a lawyer at least?
One, we went to school for 7 years. A lot of us got student loan debt, so it's not going to be cheap. So questioning the lawyer, why you cost this much, this, that, blah, 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 because I can do that because I went to school for 7 years to be able to do that. So be prepared to pay, like just be prepared to pay. When you reach out to a lawyer, you need to reach out to set up a consultation. Like I have a lot of people that call me like, hey, I have a question real quick or something like that. And it's like, no, you need to set up a consultation because, you know, moving forward, I could possibly be handling business for you. So, or whatever you need help with, or when you asking me these type of questions, that type of information is taking up my time. So, you know, time is money. So you have to set up a consultation. It's okay when people, I get a lot of clients from social media. So it's okay when they DM me or, you know, somebody will text me or call me and stuff like that. But I can't sit on the phone with you for a full hour, just giving you a bunch of legal advice. You have to literally set up a consultation. And the third thing, I just feel like there's so much legal jargon or terms of art that the average person won't know. So if you are planning to run a business, just go to an attorney. I think in our community alone, like I didn't grow up knowing a lawyer or knowing an attorney at all. I never knew a lawyer until I got to college. So it's not, you know, our first thought to go to a lawyer or go to an attorney. Like we think we can do a lot of stuff on our own, but again, like you said, that can possibly hurt you on the back end when things aren't properly set up legally, or there's just things that you wouldn't know that a lawyer would know that you wouldn't even think of. Like when you creating your business name or something, you don't know anything about filing a trademark. Attorneys file federal trademarks. So do you know how to search to see if that name is being used in another state? Do you know the difference between a state trademark and a federal trademark and how you protect it from either or?
She's giving y'all gems. She's giving y'all gems today. She's giving y'all gems.
Do you even know, you know, if, you know, that name can be used just because somebody else has it? Are y'all in different industries under different classes? Or do you know that, you know, a trademark is intellectual property? It's the asset. You can buy, it can be bought or be sold, you know, things like that. Or, you know, buying domains for your business or your business name. Or even when setting up like LLCs and stuff, people always say like, I can just go to LegalZoom, or somebody told me they'll do it for a quick $200 or something like that. And it's like, okay, is your operating agreement set up properly? Do you know what an operating agreement is? Okay, now if you get sued and the operating agreement is not proper, now they can personally come after you, and the whole purpose of the LLC is defeated because you are no longer personally protected. You know, it's just those little things that if you're not an attorney, you wouldn't think of. So go to an attorney because they're basically thinking for you and they're telling you things that you wouldn't know. So those are my 3.
Yeah, she gave y'all a lot for a little. I ain't gonna lie. We said 3. She went up. You know, you're not listening. Y'all heard me say this before. The definition of providing value: under promise, over deliver, exceed expectations. That's exactly what Attorney Walker just did. I said, can you name a couple of 3? She gave y'all about 30. She under promise. She said, I got you. Over deliver, gave you more than 3. Exceeded expectations. If you do not follow her on Twitter, on Instagram, if you don't set up a consultation once this is done, you playing yourself. You playing yourself. So look, let's keep this energy going. This is very good. This is very, very good. So you talked about your story up to this point, talked about how, when, why. You talked about how you kind of went from December 2019 to November of 2021, almost 2 years since you graduated law school. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And then you talked about 30 things, to keep in mind. You're looking for a lawyer. Now, can you tell us what makes the JL Law Firm different than anybody else? Brand yourself. Talk your talk real quick, my sister.
Okay, well, it's Black owned, Black female.
Come on, that ain't nothing to whisper. That ain't nothing to whisper. It's Black owned, you feel me? Yes.
Well, it's run by a Black woman too. You know, we make a big difference out here.
I'm gonna just let that roll because it's right. It's true. That's true. So I'm gonna let that roll and be what it is. I'm gonna let that be what it is.
Good idea. I think me personally, I think I'm well balanced. Like, you know, I grew up with a family that didn't have much, didn't come from much, but then I also had a mom who put me into spaces educational wise where I'm around Black people, but then I'm also around people of different races and different cultures as well. So it's like I can understand, you know, different scopes of the spectrum. So I know how to deal with clients probably better than like the average person who only grew up in the suburbs or something, or someone who never been around suburban people or something. You know, I feel like I'm really good at being on both sides of the spectrum. And I'm very diligent about my work. I know that most of my clients will have to refer other clients to me for me to keep building up my clientele and building up the base. So I try to take my time with things, you know, do them properly and make sure that my clients won't have any issues with any of the work that I do for them. So I'm very detail oriented and just good at taking my time now with, you know, I've made mistakes in the past, won't act like I've never done anything wrong, but I've learned from those. And I just really want to do everything properly for people who are, you know, this is people's money, this is their livelihood, this is their time that they're taking out. So, you know, you're hiring me pretty much. I'm working for you. So I'm going to try to do the best that I can do possible. So yeah, that's what sets me apart from other firms.
That's fine. Definitely appreciate you, sister. Definitely sounds like we're gonna need to do some work together when we get off here too. So definitely excited for that. Here's the next thing, right? Because you've been very transparent, very vulnerable in these last 38 minutes of this call, which, you know, honestly, I appreciate, the viewers appreciate. Can you give the people a word of encouragement, a piece of advice, maybe a lesson you learned a little bit too late about entrepreneurship? Because you're definitely an attorney, right? But you also run your own business. And I'm not sure there's one attorney. Well, I shouldn't say that. Attorneys who lack an entrepreneurial mindset are not fully maximizing on the opportunity they have. And so you can give us great insights on entrepreneurship. So do you have anything to be able to share with the people about that? Just keep them encouraged, you know what I'm saying? Some keep in mind, navigate.
Yeah, I would definitely say research before you just dive into anything, do your research. So in law school, you know, we always are taught to research, like, oh, you know, look at this case, look at that case. No, I mean research as in like, go look at other people, maybe in other cities or other states who are in your industry, who are doing very well, and pay attention to the things that they're doing, you know. Go talk to a lawyer and see what legally needs to be set up for you. Go on to, so, you know, social media is a big thing now to draw in clients for people. So go on there and look into marketing. Marketing is a very big deal when you're running a business. Like, you have to be ready to become a content creator or anything of that nature to bring exposure to your business. So my word of advice is definitely research. Like, YouTube is my best friend. I can literally figure out how to do anything on YouTube. So, you know, if you're thinking about starting a shoe business, a shoe company or something, it sounds very simple, but Nike had to become Nike somehow. They weren't always Nike. So how did they get to that level? Go look up those type of things. When did they start? How much money did they make in the first year? How much do you expect to make? Know who, like, you know, who are you marketing to? You know, there's different ways to market when you have different classes that you want to bring in. So definitely research. That is my word of advice. Do your research before you just dive into a business.
Oh, that's good. Definitely appreciate that. Research. Y'all know something that we believe here at the Side Hustle Economy Company is that if you're marketing to everybody, you're marketing to nobody at all. You know what I'm saying? Name your customer and serve them specifically. Just because you identify a customer doesn't mean the world can't benefit from your product. But if you don't have a customer, no one is going to benefit from your product. So don't market to everybody. Market to somebody specifically. That's good. That's good. Another question. Second to last question. We're bringing it to a close. Definitely appreciate you for your time. Her time is valuable. So we're being efficient with the time. Her time is valuable. So second to last question, sister. I mentioned this at the beginning, right? We follow a methodology: expose, educate, equip, right? We believe that a lot of people, a lot of us don't dream because we haven't seen something we're dreaming about. So that's why we expose. When somebody sees you, they're like, you know what? I can be that one day. But then after we expose, we educate. We got to teach the people how to achieve it. So it's not just about, yo, I saw Attorney Walker on there. Nah, she broke down how she got to where she is. And then last, we got to equip the people, right? How do we subsidize the cost? How do we connect you to resource? How do we actually help you make it make sense? Then we equip. So when you think about in your own life, your own journey through entrepreneurship, becoming the lead partner at your own firm, exposure, education, or equipment, which one of those three played the biggest role and why?
I would definitely say exposure. There's a lot of things that I probably would not have thought of doing if I never seen it. So I always wanted to be a lawyer since like elementary school. But that's because I seen a lawyer on TV, and I asked my mom, like, "Oh, what's their job?" And she was like, "He's a lawyer," and I'm like, "Oh, that's what I want to be." So it's like, okay, yeah, you say that, but then what now? So, me going to college, me studying abroad in different countries, going to different countries and doing stuff that I normally would not have done had I not had the opportunity to go to IU. They actually paid for me to go overseas. I couldn't even afford to do stuff like that. So once I was over there, it opened my mind up to a totally different world. Like there's a totally different world out there outside of your neighborhood or your city or your state, or even the United States. And then me leaving Indiana, I didn't know any Black attorneys at all growing up, like not one. I didn't know any attorneys at all, but I definitely didn't know any Black ones. So me coming to Houston, I think Houston was definitely great exposure for me. It showed me Black attorneys who were doing exactly what I wanted to do. And two, that's the norm out here. Like, when I'm back home, to people, what I'm doing is like a really big deal. But when I'm out here, there's a lot of people doing exactly what I'm doing. So when you're exposed to things like that or exposed to those type of communities, I think it makes a big difference.
No, that's real. That's definitely real. I appreciate it. And where you from? Tell the people where you from, sister.
I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah, so she went from Fort Wayne. I told you, up north. That's north to Houston, Texas. That's way down south. So no, that's real. And I can attest to that too. You know what I mean? I get exposed to new things every day. And it inspires me. I was talking to one of the homies the other day, and a lot of people, as I'm sure they do with you, look to me for inspiration. And something I got to remind myself is that you got to be inspired to inspire, right? If I haven't been inspired, it's extremely difficult to inspire somebody else. If you haven't been empowered, it's difficult to empower somebody. If you haven't been motivated, it's difficult to motivate somebody else. And so part of what I hear you saying is that you got to be the exposure if you want to be somebody's dream. We talk about we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Well, have you been inspired, or have you positioned yourself, right, to be somebody else's wildest dream? So that when a young Attorney Walker sees you on TV, like you saw somebody else, like that's going to inspire to say, you know what, she did it, I can do it too. She sound like me, she look like me, her hair is like me, her eyebrows are like me, she talks like me, she walks like me, she dresses like me. That's going to do something. And that exposure piece, I think, drives that home over and over and over again. So that's definitely real. Last question. Yeah, go ahead. What was you about to say?
I was just gonna say it's also good to be exposed to people or try to get yourself in spaces around people who are doing exactly what you want to do. I think with specifically Black people, if you don't come from like a millionaire background and stuff and trying to get there, you may be afraid to like charge certain prices and stuff like that. And one of my mentors, he's a New York attorney, but he's a big New York attorney, and he actually taught me like, how to charge and stuff like that for any of my services. I was definitely undercharging. And I think we do that a lot in our community because we're scared to ask for those type of prices, or somebody always want a discount or something. So that was my other thing about exposure. Expose yourself to somebody who's doing exactly what you're doing, kind of take you on and pretty much be your mentor, because a mentor can save you from a lot of mistakes. So yeah.
No, that's man. I'm taking notes. Y'all better be taking notes too. I can't be out here interviewing and taking notes, and y'all here watching and you ain't taking notes. So one piece on that before I ask you the last question.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said right there is so crucial. So like when I think about, I had a so I like journal or I try to journal. I do. I journal every day. A couple different ways: voice notes and then written. And matter of fact, one of the written ones, where is it at? Shout out to Jeremiah Reed, another IU graduate. His gratitude journal. Put it in every day. Shout out to Black men. Shout out to Alphas.
Shout out to the Alphas.
Yeah, but we're not here. We are not here for that. What we are here for is to talk about exposure. And I was gonna make a point. My journal entry for the other day said, "What do you need to do to grow?" You know what I said, sister? You know what I said in response to that question?
What'd you say?
I said, I gotta stop being the smartest person in the room. And I feel like that's what you're talking about. You gotta put yourself in rooms where when you look around, you're like, one day I'm gonna be there. Not I was there 2 years ago. And I think for a lot of us, especially coming from the environments that we come from, like we look around and we see what we used to be, and it keeps us motivated to continue to grow, right? For sure. But then also you being in them kind of room, which is important, you inspire somebody else to continue to come up, to continue to hustle, to continue to grind. But then you put this ceiling on yourself because you ain't seeing nothing. Then it's like, oh, it's something bigger. And that's hard when you come from an environment where your success is contingent upon you being the best, right? We grew up to say you got to be first, not second, not third, not fourth. And we walk into a room and you last, or you get the participatory award because you can't compare to the other people in there. That's hard. But I feel like it's required. And I feel like you saying that too. Do you agree? You got to learn to like not be the best in the room, or you think I'm tripping?
No, I think that's a very good. Law school personally showed me that I'm not the smartest in the room no more. Like you got some real competition out here now. Like, when I was in elementary, middle school, high school, I always was on high honor roll. They tried to get me to skip a grade. I just used to always being the smartest person. And when I got to law school, I got a rude awakening. Like, nah. So, but I learned a lot from other people in law school too. I never really had to study. I learned how to study. I learned how to be more dedicated to my work and stuff like that. And then attending conferences like sports, I'm into sports law, so sports conferences and stuff with these really big attorneys through the US. And they got to their position somehow. They know something I don't know. They know way more than me. So being in rooms like that definitely make a big difference.
That's good. That's good. So last question, keep it simple, sweet. Let you take this wherever you want to take it. At the end of every interview, we ask the interviewee, what does make it make sense mean to you? So that's what I'm asking you, sister. What does make it make sense mean to you?
To me, that means like you have make it make sense, like SENSE. To me, it means make it make sense, CENTS. Whatever you're doing, I mean, like most of us is young, probably the viewers, we in our 20s and stuff, building up early 30s, whatever you're doing, as Black people, try to make, whatever you love to do a big profit for yourself. So, a lot of us starting from scratch and getting it out the mud. So, the kids behind us don't have to do the same thing. That's how you make it make sense to me.
So that's real. She said, get your bag. That's what she said. She said, get your bag. Don't be out here bagless and you got bags underneath your eyes because you grinding so hard. She said, get your bag. And to your point, you know what I mean? And I'll end it with this one. And I think I may have mentioned it earlier. For us, we spell make it make sense with that money sign, ENSC, because there's three different parts for us, right? So we start with the sense, like you mentioned, because if you can't make it make sense here with the community, like we're not even community, if you can't do your market research, if you ain't done your research, then what is it that you're doing? So we say first it's got to make sense here. And then once you understand the mental part of it, then we can monetize. Once you do mental, the mindset, then we can monetize, right? And then after we have done the mental, the mindset, and the monetization, then that impact all across the census comes. And so that's why we spell it the way that we do, because it's crucial to what you said. We understand that we live in a capitalistic society, and lack of access to capital in the capitalistic society leaves you feeling it being treated like a lowercase letter. And Black folks continue to feel and be treated like lowest case letters. So don't be out here with some mindset, think you're gonna make impact, and you broke it in a joke with no hope. Get to your bag. It's like Attorney Walker said, but it's that balance. And I feel like, not I feel like I know people like yourself are perfectly positioned to do that mental mindset, that monetization, and then that sense piece at the end. Because it's like you've been through it, you've seen it, you hustle for it, you grinded for it, and you're continuing to improve. You know what I mean? If it's anything I learned from what you talked about today, it's that perseverance, that persistence, continuing to push to achieve your goal. Because you experienced so much adversity just in the last 2 years. We didn't really talk about law school. It's like in the last 2 years, you've been through so much to get to where you are. And if there's anything I learned, it's that we got to push through and have a goal that we want to accomplish. So definitely appreciate you for your time. Can you give the people your contact information where they can pull a consultation where they can follow you, give them last gems, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Yeah, so my Instagram name for my law firm is the J Walker, but it's Jay Walker. And then to reach out for a consultation, you just go on our website, the JL Law Firm, LLC.com. And there's a button that you can click that says contact us, and it'll instantly shoot an email to me with any questions that you have to ask, or you just provided me with information that you would like to set up a consultation, and then I can just contact you back from there.
Blessings. She done technified the business. She got a system in place, so none of y'all gonna get lost. So go ahead and click that button for that automatic email. We're gonna put your social media, your website information in the description for the video too. We're gonna get this shout out to our email newsletter. I'm gonna tweet it out a little bit later tonight too, let the people know I got to talk to you. But sister, thank you for your time. Definitely appreciate you. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm about to cut this live off. Stay on the second for me though.